Hey guys, my name is Sarah and welcome to my channel. Today I will be reviewing a watercolor palette by Artistro, who were so kind enough to give this to me for my honest review. Since my love for watercolors is growing, I was so happy to see that they had sent me not only their paint pens, which I will be doing in another video, but their portable watercolor paint set. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, rate, comment, and subscribe for more. Also, please check out Artistro as well, which you can find all of their social media links in the description of this video. So without taking up any more time, let's jump into the review. Upon opening, I immediately fell in love with the case. It's a tin case with a nice lock to keep it secure, and the color is one of my favorites, a nice soft teal. It also has this really cool design on top of it, which I really like. The size is small but not too small, which makes it great for traveling, as you can easily put it in your purse or even your bag. Inside the box it comes in, there was a pad of watercolor paper, which was also the same size as the palette. It comes with several sheets for you to use, which is great if you want to try smaller paintings. For this demonstration though, I decided not to use this paper though, since I really wanted to paint a bigger illustration. Opening the palette, you'll find several items inside, which really surprised me considering how small the palette was. On the top part of the palette, you'll find a variety of tools. There is a refillable water brush that you can use interchangeably, a pencil, a small round brush, a felt pad for cleaning your brush, I believe, a pencil sharpener, and an eraser. On the bottom, you'll find a color swatch paper for you to try out the colors yourself, a cute Artistro sticker that I'll put on one of my sketchbooks, a pre-made color swatch printed on durable plastic, and finally, the paint palette itself. I really love the layout of the colors though. There were plenty of shades for me to work with that I could really build up as I painted, and I really appreciate the assortment of colors available too. The set itself is very convenient, offering just the right amount of tools to paint anywhere. The only thing I would like to have seen though is a mixing tray, since I normally like to mix my watercolors in a bowl, so maybe this feature could be included in future editions. To get a better idea of the paint and how it responded to paper, I decided to take a color swatch from each color, applying them to the appropriate spot on the color swatch paper provided. I found that the paint is very concentrated and thick, making it perfect for depth. With little water added to the colors, I found the colors to be extremely vibrant, and on a closer look, the paint even had a bit of texture to it too, which honestly I wasn't really sure if it was from the paper itself or the paint. Either way, I really liked the effect. This palette comes with 48 colors total and even has a few fluorescent shades and metallic shades, which I really enjoyed swatching. Now for the fun part. Because I really wanted to get the most out of the colors, I decided to sketch out something fun that would allow me to use a variety of colors. It's a cupcake house with flowers surrounding it, and I wanted to paint it with rainbow colors in mind. I wanted to see how well the colors blended, how they reacted when being diluted, or when using multiple layers even. I know certain colors can be tricky to blend because of the colors itself, so working with an illustration that required blending would help me get a better idea of the paints. The first technique I tried was a water wash technique. I first wet the paper before applying the paint. The colors blended nicely and evenly with no blotches. I've learned that when working with watercolors, you want to paint while the paint is still wet if you want everything to blend out nicely. That way it doesn't dry on you. However, these paints allowed me to get away with that, as they blended much better even when the paint had dried. Because I was having a hard time building the colors up though by just using the palette, since the paint there was often too thick and concentrated, I decided to grab my mixing bowl where I added all the colors I was going to use, along with diluting them with some water. That way I could build up my colors with my mixing bowl while using the palette for added concentration. I did find that using the fluorescent blue was a bit tricky to blend. The color itself was one of my favorites, but it seemed to have the most grainy effect to it. Later on, I do paint a cloud and some water with the same color, and it will show this effect. I do like it either way, but if you're looking for a smoother finish, this could be something that you want to keep in mind. As I worked with the colors more though, I was able to get a feel for how they responded to water, how they reacted to blending, and how to work with the texture effect. I would definitely consider myself a newbie when it comes to watercolors. However, these watercolors made painting so much fun and easy because of how bright their colors were. If you take your time building up the layers, you can easily create beautiful art with this palette. It's also worth mentioning that a little paint goes a long way. I didn't have to use much paint when adding it to my mixing bowl as the paint was very thick and concentrated already, which was a good sign that this paint was going to last for some time. My favorite thing about these paints though is how easily they blend with or without a water rush. As my illustration came along with bright colors, I came to love this palette even more as I had never experienced such unique colors. I did find though that the small round brush that this palette comes with doesn't do well if it's left in a cup of water. I have a habit of doing this, so this could very well be my mistake, and I found that after a few minutes of the brush being in water, the paint on the brush itself started to peel off. So my advice would be to keep your brush outside of water if you'd like to keep it nice and painted. As I used up the paint that was inside of my mixing bowl, I found that I could easily reactivate the paint if it had dried too much by simply adding more water. This actually helped me get the most out of the paint so that no paint was wasted. I've tried some watercolors before where if they had dried too much and you added water back to them, the paint would actually leave you with chips instead of paint to actually work with, but this palette lets me easily use up all the paint in my mixing bowl without having to worry about that. The paint also dries in a decent time frame, making it easier to add layers. If I needed to reactivate an area, I simply added more water to that area, and I could easily add more paint to that area without lifting up too much of the color itself. As my illustration came along, I learned to appreciate the grainy texture that I at first wasn't used to. It made my illustration feel like it was part of a children's book with an added folk feel to it. For beginners, this texture may be weird at first, but with patience you'll find that it really brings your artwork to life. For me, it was unique since I didn't have to use any special technique to get this added effect it left me, and you can really get a glimpse of this effect as I paint the bushes and the clouds. Also, there was a storm brewing outside as I was painting this, so I do apologize about the change in lighting. One minute it was dark and raining outside and I had little light to work with, and then the next it was sunny and the rays were bursting through my windows, almost practically blinding me. For the rest of the video, I'm going to complete this illustration and add some more effects to it to make it stand out more. My overall impression of this paint set though by Artistro is that I really enjoy the colors. The paint was super easy for me to work with. I love the design of the palette itself, and I also love how convenient this palette is as I can easily take it wherever I travel as I'm always looking for new ways to stay creative on the go. I'd highly recommend this palette for beginners since the colors are rich and it comes with all the basic supplies you need to get started, or even if you're an experienced artist who needs portable supplies as you move around, this palette would be great for you too. I really enjoyed working with this palette and I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to try it out and share it with you all, as it helped me bring this cute colorful illustration to life, and I hope it was inspiring to you. So if you'd like to buy this palette yourself, you can find it on Amazon in the description of this video, and also be sure to give some love to Artistro as well by following them on their social media accounts. If you'd like to show your support for this channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon page where you'll get lots of goodies and freebies, and I want to thank you all for watching this video. Stay creative, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!